Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm your English instructor Urdu Khan, and today the topic of discussion is past perfect tense. So, now past perfect tense is the third type of past tense. Let's look into the definition, that what they tell and indicate us about. It is used to express an action which has happened or completed in past. So these tense actually tell us about an action that took place and got completed in past. That means that action has already taken place and it got completed in our past time. So now let's look into the Urdu identification of past perfect tense. So, the Urdu identification of past perfect tense is चुका था, चुकी थी और चुके थे. For example, मेरे घर आने से पहले मेरा बेटा स्कूल जा चुका था. My son had gone to school before I came home. लड़कियां पहले ही गीत गा चुकी थी. The girls had already sung the songs. इम्तिहान शुरू होने से पहले तमाम उम्मीदवार कमरा इम्तिहान में आ चुके थे. All the candidates had entered the examination hall before the paper began. So, basically, all these sentences had same Urdu identification, same Urdu endings, chuka tha, chuki the or chuke the. Whenever the word perfect comes in the title, always remember that perfect tense shows the completion of an action. Either it's present, either it's past or future tense. The perfect element shows the action got completed, whichever the tense it is. So now let's look deep into these past perfect tense. Now let's look into the positive sentence structure of past perfect tense. For positive sentences, first of all we have got our subject, then comes our helping verb had, then comes verb's third form followed with an object and a full stop. Here we have some of the examples for the positive sentences of past perfect tense. The first example is I had disclosed the secret to all. We had disclosed the secret to all. You had disclosed the secret to all. He, she, it or Sam had disclosed the secret to all. They or boys had disclosed the secret to all. So all these subjects, again, singular or plural, first, second or third, all used the same helping verb and same form of verb, that is had and third form of verb. We followed the exact same sentence structure that we just studied. Now when we move forward towards the negative sentences of past perfect tense, we see first of all we get our subject, then comes our had, right after our had comes in not, showing the negativity in the sentence, then comes verb in its third form, then comes our object followed by a full stop. So we see by simply placing not right after our helping verb had, the positive sentence is converted into negative sentence. Let's look at some of its examples. So now here are some of the examples of negative sentences of past perfect tense. So the first one is I had not informed my boss. We had not informed my boss. You had not informed my boss. He, she, it or Sam had not informed my boss. They or boys had not informed my boss. So by placing a little not right after our helping verb, that is had, we convert a positive sentence into negative sentence. Now, when we look at the sentence structures of interrogative and negative interrogative sentences of past perfect tense, we see that our helping verb comes in the beginning of the sentence. Let's see how. In interrogative sentences, first of all we have got our had, then comes our subject, then verb's third form followed by our object and a question mark. When we talk about negative interrogative sentences, by simply putting not right after our subject, our interrogative sentence changes into negative interrogative sentence. Let's see how. First of all we have got our had, then we have got our subject, then right after our subject we place not, and the rest of the sentence structure is exactly the same. So now here we have examples of interrogative sentences of past perfect tense. The first one is had I snatched his book, had we snatched his book, had you snatched his book, Had he, she, it, or Sam snatched his book? Had they or boy snatched his book? So, these were the examples of interrogative sentences. Now, let's move towards the examples of our negative interrogative sentences. Here we have some of the examples of negative interrogative sentences. The first one is, had I not bought medicine for Renu? Had we not bought medicine for Renu? Had you not brought medicine for Renu? Had he, she, it, or Sam not brought medicine for Renu? Had they or boys not brought medicine for Renu? So by simply putting not right after our subject, we convert our interrogative sentence into negative interrogative sentence. Now let's have a look to the active passives of past perfect tense one by one of each sentence structure. So we'll start from the positive sentences. So for the positive sentences in the active voice, first of all we have got our subject, then comes our had as helping verb, then comes our verb in its third form, then comes our object. When we convert this into passive voice, the first thing that's going to happen is our subject and object, they are going to interchange their places. Then comes our helping verb had, then along with had we are going to add been here, then comes verb in its third form, then comes by followed by our object and remaining part of the sentence. Let's look some of the examples. She had informed the police had been informed by her. I had already proposed her, she had already been proposed by me. Those prisoners had robbed 5 banks had been robbed by those prisoners. Now let's have a look to the active and passive voice of negative sentences. The active voice of negative sentence consists of subject, then comes our helping verb had, then comes not showing the negativity, then comes our verb in its third form, and then comes our object. When we convert this active into passive voice, first thing that's going to happen is subject and object, they're going to interchange their places. Then comes our helping verb had. Right after had, we place our not and then been. So that means that not is coming in between had and been. Then comes our verb's third form, then comes by followed by our object and remaining part of the sentence. Let's look at some of the examples. She had not informed the police had not been informed by her. They had not bought a new car had not been bought by them. They had not cleaned their room had not been cleaned by them. Now, here we have active and passive voices of interrogative sentences and negative interrogative sentences of past perfect tense. Let's have a look. In active voice of interrogative sentences, first of all we have got our had, then comes subject, then comes verb in its third form, and then comes our object. When we convert this into passive voice, first of all, had, its place is going to remain the same because it's a question sentence. Then we are going to interchange the places of subject and object. Then we are going to add been right after our subject, then followed by a verb's third form. Then we are going to add by, object, and remaining part of the sentence. These are some of the examples. Had she informed the police? Had the police been informed by her? Had he not bought a new car? This is a sentence of negative interrogative structure. Let's see how we convert this into passive voice. Had a new car not been bought by him? We simply placed not right after our subject. Had you loved her? Had she been loved by you? So, this is pretty much it for today's class. Today we discussed past perfect tense. Thank you so much for listening. Take care and Allah Hafiz.